What's happening? Of course, you know it's your boy B-Hop Radio Shout. And as always, I got my podcast partner off in this thing, OG Gangsta Wicked, a.k.a. Big Galaxy of Ghetto Mafia.
Sad day today, B-Hop. We finna get into it. Before we even start, though, I want to shout out the DOC. Y'all go check the DOC out on doc.com and follow the instructions. He's doing a lot of great things for the community. And, you know what I'm saying, I told him that we would support him.
Exactly. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, anytime the doc is putting it down for the town, I mean, we got to come around.
That's right.
On a serious note, though, Wick, you know, a young noble of the Outlaws, he passed over the 4th of July weekend. Now, according to TMZ, they're saying that the sources said that he died from a gunshot wound that appears to be self-inflicted. And that's all they know at this time. You know, Noble got his big break in hip-hop after joining the Outlaws group in the early 1996 year, becoming the last member of the group personally added by Tupac. For those who may not know, you know, some of the songs that you can hear Noble on include Born First and Hail Mary on that Illuminati album, and a host of other songs that he created because he had a long catalog as well. But, you know, it was just another devastating blow to hip-hop, and then that, you know, Tupac and Outlaw's legacy to have another soldier, you know, pass away suddenly and so early in the game. I mean, when you found out about this, Rick, how did it impact you, man?
It was, you know, it's sad. We don't know a lot about, you know, what exactly happened, but there are, you know, certain rumors and stuff in the streets. First thing I want to say, man, is, you know, I want to, you know, send my prayers up for Edie and Castro. Right. Those are the two of the guys in the group that I actually had the privilege, the honor of cutting corners with.
Exactly.
If you hear from Atlanta, especially on the east side, they had a record store back in the day in Stone Mountain.
Yeah.
With the studio in the back. Unc had the studio.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember, you know, Castro and Edie with the Denali's, the matching Denali's, and they would always show love. And this was even after Pac had died. You know, they would you know, show Ghetto Mafia love.
Yeah,
holler at me, anything I needed, they was there for me.
Yeah,
you know, just some real niggas. You know what I'm saying? I could, you know, you could call them and they gonna answer for it. Not like a lot of these fake industry motherfuckers. And I noticed that from the entire camp.
Yeah.
You know, as I was reflecting on the passing of young Noble, it got me to also thinking about, you know, when I sit here a lot of times in this seat and I'm talking about some of the greatest camps of all time.
Yeah.
You know, I thought to myself, you know, just last night I said, man, I always seem to leave out, you know what I'm saying, the Outlaws.
Exactly.
And you know, and you know, the surrounding cast that Tupac had.
Yeah.
We always, you know, a lot of us we think that Tupac was the greatest.
Yeah.
I personally think Tupac was the greatest.
Yeah.
It was my era, everything he stood for, I stood for.
Yeah.
You know, his style, his swag, you know what I'm saying, his knowledge of you know, and, you know, black pride.
Yeah.
All these things check the box for me.
Yeah.
But one thing that we don't say about Pac is that he was very smart on the people that he surrounded himself with as far as the same type of knowledge.
Exactly.
You know, Outlaws never slipped on one verse, none of them. Young Noble, you know what I'm saying, Castro, Edie, Hussein Fatal, you know what I'm saying, Gaddafi, none of them.
I told Edie one time when I was talking to him, I said, you know what, Edie, what I realized was that when we got some of our best Tupac songs, it was with the Outlaws.
It was with the Outlaws on it, absolutely.
Edie was like, no, man, we had to bring the best up out of him because he'll hear us going crazy in the studio, and then on Made Niggas, he got to come back for a second verse. He's like, wait a minute, no, y'all ain't going to be doing this.
Yeah, and you can hear it, and you can really hear it. So, you know, I wanna salute, you know what I'm saying, the Outlaws, man. But this is young. I wanna pivot to something else too, and then we'll get back to, you know what I'm saying, to Young Noble in particular. But the mental health of hip hop artists. Yeah. I've always kind of spoke with that, and people are kind of, you know, they'll hear, some people hear what I'm saying, but some people are kind of, you know, sweep it up under the rug. Mm-hmm. There's a group of people out there that thinks that, hey, you know, if you're a rapper, you're a ball player, you're an actor, you're an entertainer, or anything, hey man, you should be blessed. You know what I'm saying? You fulfilled whatever you were trying to fulfill. You probably made good money. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows your name. You shouldn't really have any problems like that. You shouldn't be depressed. Mm-hmm. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Mm-hmm. In this game, I've noticed that, it's a lot of pressure carrying on these legacies for fans that expect a lot out of you. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you're coming behind, like I said, a guy like Tupac, mm-hmm. I can imagine the pressure when this man, from his every day-to-day living, like you said, all the projects that he's done, to have to try to measure up to that, and what people may be saying, and it just is sad. I think that that we need to, as far as, like I said, entertainment, basketball, football, everything, we need to have some organizations in place, and that's why I brought up the DOC today, because his nonprofit is addressing these types of things. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that when he lost his voice and could never rap again, that had to be one of the most depressing things. It takes somebody very strong to get through that. To absolutely. Come on. You see what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
And so that's kind of what I think that we need to focus on with a lot of these artists. I said this not too long ago that artists are depressed, man, and I know a lot of them right now in the game. And I kind of have my hands tied, because I can see it with artists that people don't even think that I'm day to day, that I talk to day to day. I reach out to certain artists and say, hey man, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Especially my artists here in the city. Not to say that throw a name out, but not to say that he was in this category, because he's actually one that checks on me. Bone Crusher, a friend of the podcast.
A friend of the whole family.
He's very big on for people that don't know him personally. When he calls, it's not about rap.
Exactly.
It's not about, hey man, I need you to do this for me. It is. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Bone Crusher. He called and just say, man, how you doing?
How you doing? What the hell's going on?
You okay? What can I help you with?
Well, that's why everybody loves Bone Crusher.
Right. Exactly. But there's a lot of artists out there. There's a lot of artists that I see that I try to emulate Bone on, that and say, you know what? Let me call them. I see a post or I see this, or let me just call and check in on them and see what's going on. But we don't like to, pry too much. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of the artists start to feel isolated. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm popular, even though Young Noble was popular, he was with the biggest rap movement probably of all time. Tupac and the Outlaws. It don't get no bigger than that right there. But we don't know from his everyday waking up and living and stuff, he could have been the loneliest man on earth. You know what I'm saying? And I see that a lot of times. How to change that, I don't have the answer for it. You know what I'm saying? When you're popular but lonely. Singled out, isolated, but everybody knows you. So, I just think that, it's sad, Beehive, but, hopefully, this will be a turning point in hip hop, that we could, with a lot of these artists and entertainers and stuff, that we can look at them more than just the talent that they bestow upon us and say, hey, what can we do to help? And not just entertainer stuff. Let me go far as any professional. All men in any profession. They're stressed across the board when it comes to doctors and lawyers and politicians and everything. You understand
just
what I'm saying?
Being a man alive above ground, there's some stress going on.
Absolutely. I mean, being in the military, you know what I'm saying? Fighting for the country, So, but we do have to, start loving on each other a little better and checking in with each other, not just on foolishness.
Exactly. When it comes to just mental health in our community, that's one of the things that I feel like we really have to, dig deep into right now. one of the things that I say, like you say, when people are feeling lonely, the only friend you have sometimes is God. So sometimes you just got to lean into that Bible, that Quran, whatever your religious or spirituality is. You got to lean into that heavy, because that might be the only thing that can get you through all of the pain and the pressure that you're feeling out here. And a lot of men are suffering in silence on a regular basis because they can't talk to nobody about nothing, because nobody wants to hear nothing about what they got going on. And then also, everybody has problems too.
Correct.
So sometimes you might want to go and tell everybody your problems, and they're like, hey man, we're gonna have the like my cousin say, the trauma Olympics out here. Okay,
Right.
See who got the most trauma to dump on everybody.
Right.
At the end of the day, everybody's going through it, but somehow we got to find a way to make this a community issue, and we can come together and solve it as family versus being so isolated when dealing with some of the darkest times in our lives, man.
Right.
My thoughts and prayers go out to Young Noble, the Outlaws, and his family and stuff like that, because I know this got to be a devastating blow to all of them, man. And I just pray that, other men going through the same thing get help.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Get some help. Get somebody to talk to them. And getting help ain't weak. Getting help ain't crazy. Sometimes you need help.
Yeah, and I told you behind. I know sometimes I'm gonna give people a little insight on some of the stuff I'll send you, and I know sometimes you be like, this nigga wicked. He tripping. But you can say that I'm not lying when I say, I'll hit you periodically. Maybe once a month, and I just say, man, thank you, Brad. I'll tell you that if it wasn't for this podcast, I have went down that road.
Yeah.
In hip hop, Beehive, it's a drug that a lot of us artists are chasing for the rest of our life, and I'm gonna break it down to you. And what it is the first time, the nostalgia of what we felt when we first heard our records on the radio.
Yeah.
When we first saw ourselves on television. When we first realized that we had a voice and that there were people actually following our voice.
Yeah.
Living by what we said. We had to watch what we said.
Mm-hmm.
These things right here, for the first time, they have you chasing it for the rest of your life, trying to get this. It's like an addict trying the first time they smoke some weed, or they did this or they did that. It's not on the line. Whatever you drink, whatever. That nostalgia of the first time in hip hop is a drug that a lot of people chase, a lot of artists chase, and they can never get it back. So they find themselves in depression. Now, I say that to say, when a lot of basketball players or football players or whatever, when they finish their career, Andre Rison is my guy. You know how much I love Dre. So, I'm not bringing him up in a negative connotation, but I will say that there was a difference between Andre Rison when he left the NFL, won Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers, with Atlanta Hall of Famer, right? So him and Prime Time and Showtime. But Dre, when I look at Andre Rison now, if y'all not following him, go follow him on Instagram. When I look at Andre Rison now, he's the happiest now from the coaching the kids, coaching the college. I saw him go from high school to college. You know what I'm saying? Coached his own son. His son went and played at Michigan State. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It gave him a sense of I'm away from the game because my whole life I have played this game, and everybody has, bestowed their love and everything towards me. I was the hero. I was a hero of Michigan, of Flint. You understand what I'm saying? And then when it's all said and done, and the cameras and the lights and everything go off and the curtain is closed, you there in the dark by yourself to have to deal with yourself. And so a lot of times you'll see these basketball players and stuff. They go do these sports shows on ESPN, or they're a commentator for this, or they starting their own podcast. To the average person, they might be sitting up and watching 3 ex-football players or basketball players and be like, man, they don't know what they talking about, this or that, or are they just doing it for money? Are they doing it for that? You best believe that inside the NBA helps Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, and that other one I forget, Kenny Smith, you know what I'm saying, more than just monetary gain. Because it gives, it's something, it's structure that they had. They had to go to practice every day. They had to go to this every day, that every day. Now, when that stops, and you just left to your own devices, the mind goes, it still needs something to do. And a lot of times it goes into depression or drugs or down the wrong street. But when you have that inside the NBA to go to, when I have Be High to come to now, and I could talk about rap and still have something to contribute to the culture right now, even if I ain't as relevant as the young rappers that are out now. But now I can come to Be High every day with structure and be able to tell these young rappers what I went through, and so that they don't do the same thing, and what they're gonna feel when the cameras and the lights close on them. Because a lot of young artists I talk to now, they think this is gonna be forever, and I tell them, bruh, it's not. It's gonna get a time where your fan base is gonna get old. They're gonna start having kids. They're gonna start thinking about retirement, and those concerts are gonna thin out. And now you're gonna be left to your own devices. Are you gonna be able to, like what B-High just said, dive into that Bible, dive into that Quran, and be able to that mind do something with it so that it does not stray down the wrong path? You know what I'm saying? So these shows like this and giving a person something to do, you know, I salute all of them. A lot of the ball players and stuff that go into coaching, a lot of the entertainers that go out here and start speaking in the prisons and start doing a lot of non-profit stuff like the DOC. I'm sure that is very, very rewarding for him. Project Pat, you got to start out Pat. I'm sure that's very Snoop with the football league and stuff. I'm sure these are type of things that us artists we have to put in place so that when the curtains close on you, that you're not left to your own devices and chasing that drug of fame for the rest of your life, and that sends you into depression.
But see, also, Wick, on another side of the pendulum, you got the average man out here. And they feel that way when they lose their job.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
And we got to speak to them as well, because we've all been there as well.
Absolutely.
To where you coming home with kids and you looking like the extra kid in there because you ain't got no goddamn job.
Right.
And that can send you into a speedy depression as well.
Absolutely.
But, you know, my advice to anybody going through there, because I done been up through there myself before, is that you got to be ready to sit in it.
Right.
You got to be able to sit in it. But see, the only thing that will allow you to sit in it is that word and that spirituality and some prayer. Because sometimes those days last a lot longer than you expect.
Right.
It'll creep up on your ass and it'll ride your back for some years. So you got to be ready to stand up and stay down until you come back up again, man. And I think that's a lot of, you know, issues that, you know, men in general will find themselves having when it comes to just finances. You'll look up one day you're rich as hell, or you at least just got a job making the money every day. Then all of that gets taken away. So it's like, you know, we got to be mentally strong and, you know, prepared for the downs that come along in life on a regular basis as well.
Is that a community issue, though? Is it something that we all have to deal with, or is every man, you know, need to deal with it himself? See, that's what I'm saying, that a lot of us, like you said, when you lose that job, you know, nobody wants to really help you with it. Nobody wants to say, hey, B-High, you know, I know you lost your job. Come on over here for right now and do this with me. Or
sometimes they like to see you down. Sometimes you can lose everything and people will kick you in your back while you're down. Sometimes you'll be down and then you'll look up and you got somebody knee on your back trying to keep you down just a little bit longer. So that's when the perseverance has to kick in. That's when the education has to kick in. See, one of my favorite things to do when I would find myself in a downtime where it looked like, okay, I was fucked up, I would go and get me some more education, because I'm like, okay, I don't even know what the hell to do. So let me go and learn something new so I can apply that to try to make some more money or figure out how to make something shake around here. So that's one of the things. It's going to be that word you got to get into, that education you got to get into, and it's that perseverance that you got to tap into in order to be able to come up out of that. But also it's the patience to be able to sit through the trauma and the drama all at one time, and being able to look around and reevaluate the people that you got around you, the surroundings that you done put yourself in, the decisions you done made leading up until that point, and you try to figure out how to make sure that this never happens again. And if it does happen again, guess what? You're going to be better prepared for it when it creeps up on you. You know? So that's one of the things that I like to say to different men out here, because I understand that it's difficult for folks out here trying to make it do what it's supposed to do. However, you know, there are things you don't want to get into a depression and then start going down, 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 down into where you can't even come back from it.
Wow.
You got to be able to fight. You got to be able to fight. And it's not about you. It's about, you know, the family. Sometimes you just got to fight just to be there for your people, your family, and everybody that needs you out there. So you don't want to be, you know, falling off and dealing with that depression and letting it take you all the way down. That's the main thing. The spiritual part, we just got to get more spiritual in the way that we live on a regular basis, because a lot of times that is just flat out all you got. You might not have a bunch of people that you could talk to. You might not have a bunch of networks that you can lean on to figure out what the hell to do. So sometimes all you have is that word, and then you got to follow that thing step by step until you come up out of there and have the patience and the resilience to be able to do what you need to do to live, to fight another doggone day out here, man.
Well said, big guy. I have nothing to add to that right there. And like I say, man, prayers go out to the family. Prayers go out to young Noble.
Yes, sir.
And you know, he's not the first that's been down that rabbit hole. I have been down that rabbit hole, and there's a lot of artists that I know have been down that rabbit hole. And I pray for everybody if you're in that rabbit hole right now. And I don't care what profession you're in.
Exactly.
Hey, those are the words from Wick.
Y'all heard the man. Thoughts and prayers for young Noble and the Outlaws and all of the friends and family. Beehive Radio shouted, Big Galaxy. Y'all send some love to the family in the comments, man. Let them know that we here. We gone.